Then in the late 60s, just before the 70s and early into the 70s, a new wave, they call it the new wave, of raw, nerve-ending type music was being introduced by the Velvet Underground, Iggy Pop and the Stooges, and the New York Dolls. And wearing raunchy clothes, sporting obscene gestures, and performing dangerous stunts on stage, these new wave groups gave rock an animalistic twist and again were able to shock their audiences. And this is where we got our first taste of what they call punk rock. It was an animalistic twist that gave rock and roll a new impetus. Now, many say that the term punk was taken from the Andy Warhol graphics of the same name. I don't know if that's true. But punk rock became a nihilistic protest of rebellion against all social standards. Iggy Pop of the Stooges would spew out raunchy, gut-rending lyrics while performing violent acts on stage, such as pouring hot wax down his bare torso, regurgitating on stage, diving headfirst into terrified audiences, and committing similar acts of vandalism and mutilation so as to be dubbed the Chris Burden of rock and roll. Chris Burden was the fellow who would shoot himself with a revolver as part of his act on stage. Well, there were several groups then that came out that began to really get into the violence of this rock music, which we call punk rock. There was the group, the Ramones, who would sing, "Beat the brat, beat the brat, beat the brat with a baseball bat, oh yeah." Then another group called Tomato Do Plenty, one of the most famous LA punker groups, would scream out, "I want to hurt, I want to hurt, I want to hurt." And at the same time, while they were doing this at regular intervals, a girl in a zombie makeup would emit piercing wails. All of this was part of the punk rock scene that was really becoming stronger and stronger. And I began to see that Satan was playing up all the glories of going to hell. Actually, the punkers would talk about all the sex and the drugs and the parties and having all your friends. If you could go to hell, that was the place to be. You know, there was groups, well, AC/DC isn't a punk group, but they sing Highway to Hell about having parties in hell. At the same time, Satan is painting heaven as a very boring place. There's another group, for instance, a punk rock group called the Talking Heads, and they sing, "Heaven is a place where nothing ever happens." Let's hear that by the group Talking Heads. This is "Heaven is a Place." Heaven is a place where nothing ever happens. It's going to be boring, boring. And then at the same time, the devil says that hell is the place where we're going to have parties, we're going to have good times, our friends are going to be there, we'll have all the drugs and booze and sex, everything we ever wanted, we're going to have it in hell. And that's what these young punkers are beginning to believe, that they don't want to go to heaven, they want to go to hell. Actually, Satan himself wants to be God. He always wanted to be like God. Isaiah 14, verse 12 asks, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer," which is Satan, son of the morning? "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven." Verse 14 says, "I will be like the Most High." Satan wanted to be like God, like the Most High. And then God's judgment on him was in Ezekiel 28:17. It says, "Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee." God says, because of your pride, because of the beauty that I gave you, the wisdom that I gave you, and the brightness that I gave you, you have corrupted these things because of your pride, and now you are cast down. Now notice that Satan had awesome beauty, awesome wisdom, and awesome brightness before his fall. Then in verse 13 of Ezekiel 28, it says this, "The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created." Satan was created a musical angel. The tabrets and pipes, the musical instruments, were built right into him. So he was a creative masterpiece of God, created to bring forth music. And I believe very possibly that Satan was leading some of the worship of heaven, for he was one of the highest of God's archangels, and he was the covering cherub over the throne of God. And I want you to know today that Satan had one main tool that he used when he fell from heaven to pervert the people upon the earth, and it was music. And that's exactly what we're seeing today. He's taken his gifts, the gifts of beauty, the gifts of wisdom, the gifts of brightness, and the gifts of music, and he's perverting those to destroy the kids. Now, I want to ask you a question today. since rebellion and violence were the cause of his fall, what tools do you think Satan will use to destroy the young people of today? He will use rebellion and violence. So let's look at punk rock today, and let's look what this musical form is doing to our kids. Rebellion is one of the main hallmarks of the young punkers. Paul Crouch Jr. took a camera crew out to the streets where the punkers were hanging out, and he made some interviews with these kids. And I want you to see for yourself how Satan and demon spirits have sown rebellion and violence in the hearts of these young people. Watch how they say they hate their parents. Here's Paul Crouch Jr. now with his interview on the street.
Where are you here tonight?
To see Two Sounds of Liberty.
What?
To see TSOL.
Are they one of your favorite bands, or is there something you expect to get out of it? Or
No, they're my favorite band.
Okay, one other thing, what do your parents think of what you do, or do they even know?
They know. They know, but like they think it's bizarre. They look at me and laugh.
Would you want your kids to be into something like this?
Yeah.
You see how much fun we're having, so you'd like to have them have the same fun. So.
Is there any kind of message in being punk, or is it just something to do, or what?
It's just being different from everybody else, not going, oh, you have the same Jordache on as I do, you know. It's not, it's just, you do your own thing. You don't, it's just different. It's fun.
What do the kids at school know that you're punk?
Cool.
How old are you?
15.
What about you?
15 and a half.
Do you go to school?
No. Don't work. Don't do anything.
Do your parents know you're into this?
Oh, yeah. That's why I don't live at home, because parents don't like you to be this, so they don't let you do your own thing. So you kind of, what we did is we moved out because our parents wouldn't let us do our thing.
Do you think your parents love you, or not?
Yeah, she does, because she tells me every day.
Do you love your mother?
Yes, I do, very much, but I can't handle her.
I hate her. I do. I hate my mom.
Why?
Because she's a bitch. Like, she just won't let me do what I want. Yeah. She doesn't let me have friends. She makes me come home at 11 o'clock on Friday or Saturday night. That's stupid.
Do you ever feel bad for what you're doing, or is it just an escape, or what?
I don't feel bad. I like what I'm doing. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't like it.
What do you think you'll be doing like 5 years from now?
Probably, no. I'm going to be a buyer for big brand names like Christian Dior and stuff. Like, just, yeah, I might be dead.
Well, that's the youth, and that's what they stand for. As you can see, these young people are made out in their weird costumes, and if you really get into the punk rock scene, you're going to see that they put razor blades in their clothes, and they put pins through their noses and chains from their nose to their ear, and they cut all kinds of weird places out of their hair, and they round the corners of their head, and they put crazy colors in their hair, and they put rouge and lipstick and wild mascara on, and they try to do everything that perverts beauty. You know, I saw something. Since Satan was the ultimate in beauty and wisdom and music, what areas would be perfect vehicles for his rebellion and violence to sow it in the young people? Well, think about it. It would be music and beauty and wisdom. Now look at what punk rock has done to music. It has made it a violent art form. There's no melody, no harmony. It sounds terrible. It's blaring. And look at the beauty of the kids. He has made them to be freaks. He's made them ugly. And look at what's happening with the wisdom. The kids have their minds blown on alcohol and drugs and weird stuff that they're putting into themselves. And that's what you were seeing with some of these kids that we just showed you. I'm so concerned because I see that beauty is being perverted and destroyed. Satan wants to kill our children through violence. Here's another group. I want to show you the Dead Kennedys, a picture of the group, the Dead Kennedys, who blasphemes God. They show a Christ-like figure crucified on a cross of money, and the Dead Kennedys have a song called I Kill Children, and I think it really sums up the punk rock craze, and it starts out, God told me to skin you alive. I wonder which God told them to skin the children alive. And the lyrics continue this way, I kill children, I love to see them die. I kill children and make their mamas cry.